morning, Carly and Todd. After weeks of blaming each other, President Trump and Minnesota officials appear to be moving closer to some sort of compromise. The president saying Governor Tim Walz called me with a request to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him, and that what we are looking for are any and all criminals that they have in their possession. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry saying the president agreed that this situation cannot continue. Some federal agents will begin leaving the area tomorrow, and I will continue pushing for the rest involved in this operation to go. Fry says he will be meeting with Border Czar Tom Homan today as well to talk about next steps.
Mr. Homan is the point person for cooperating with state and local authorities and corresponding with them, again, to achieve this level of cooperation to subdue the chaos on the streets of Minneapolis. And I would just point out that Mr. Homan is someone who has been lauded for many, many decades for his experience working in law enforcement.
Homan's deployment to Minnesota comes after internal frustration in the administration grew with the messaging that DHS leadership put out in the aftermath of Alex Petty's shooting, specifically their statement that he wanted to, quote, massacre law enforcement. Federal sources also say Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino is leaving Minnesota today. He's returning to his sector in El Centro, California, a significant shift with Homan now in to essentially call the shots.
Oh, there's a king croc right there. He must be 4 meters. I've got to be careful. So what I'm gonna do is sneak up on it and jam my thumb in its butthole.
Holy crap, dude!
Oh boy, he is pissed off now.
Go, dude, go!
I'm gonna jam my thumb in its butthole now. This should really piss it off. Oh yeah, that pissed it off all right. I gotta be careful.
This guy rules! I tell you, guys.
Quite an angry crook, but I managed to escape with only a few bruises and a shattered left testicle. Next week, we'll look for more of these beautiful creatures so we can learn more about them by pissing them off immensely.
Jerry, that's the alligator Alcatraz meme. Well, there's no alligators in Minnesota. You've got to re-up that one. You got to give us the Minnesota version of Tom Homan in Minnesota. Come on, man. Come on. I know what you're doing there. I know what you're doing. I won't tolerate it at this company. I won't tolerate it. There are no alligator Alcatraz swamps in Minnesota. You're going to get me the Minnesota version of that. Get me the Minnesota version of that by the end of the show. Otherwise, we'll be in meme timeout, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. We're very excited because, well, it seems as though we're getting what we want out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's very interesting times. We're going to talk all about it today. Tim Walz caves to President Trump after phone call. We're going to go through sort of the mechanisms of why we believe that Tim Walz has caved and why that's a good thing for the president and obviously the country moving forward. Although there are some major gaps that still remain. We had the FBI director on the show yesterday, and we're asking some questions about what's going to happen to the organized left-wing insurgency that seemingly is operating at the discretion of the Democrat leadership in Minneapolis, Minnesota. However, when people are dying on the streets and when there's chaos and when cities are burning, these kind of things can become extremely toxic and tough political events. And so you need to take a big, massive step back, make sure that law enforcement is locking up criminals, handing over illegals to the federal authorities, and I want there to be less bloodshed. I don't want there to be bloodshed. I don't want there to be made-for-TV moments. We don't need a new George Floyd situation. We don't need a new Ashley Babbitt situation. And I'm in favor of the de-escalation. I think the de-escalation is helpful. Nonetheless, anti-ICE agitators are arrested, finally, by Minnesota authorities. And they look really happy to do that. They're arresting now any non-peaceful assembly of protesters. Good. And when you have times like this where you're not sure which way is up, it's good to have friends of the program that can point you in the right direction. James O'Keefe and Tim Burchett will be on the show. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. No matter where you are in the country and no matter what you're doing, Patriot Mobile can be at your side, making sure that you are locked and loaded, ready to tune into our show, ready to connect, ready to ensure that you can deliver and speak freely in this free nation. Patriot Mobile is the only Christian conservative wireless provider. They've been in our pocket and at our back for a very long time. I think years now, maybe 3-4 years. They've been supporting our work out in the field, supporting our journalism, and supporting us reaching you. You should make sure that when you are reaching out digitally, you're using a Christian conservative wireless provider with some of the most excellent coverage in all of the country, backed 100% US-based customer support on all 3 major premium services. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT for the promo code Benny for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Benny and call 972-PATRIOT to make the switch today. All right. Hold on, guys. I'm just confirming here in the chat that Jerry is making an icy Minnesota version of the Tom Homan meme. Okay. Let's go ahead and make sure that that's confirmed. I want to be able to play that for you. Yeah, all right. I want to be able to play that for you by the end of the program. We reused our alligator Alcatraz Tom Homan, which is really funny, honestly. But it needs updating because Tom Homan is now the warlord of Minneapolis. And I want to talk to you a little bit about, before we get into what Trump and Tim Walz have done and some of the good things I think that are happening on the ground, I want to talk to you about the bad things that are happening on the ground because, well, we had Kash Patel on our program yesterday and made a lot of news, honestly, with Kash Patel talking about what's going to happen to this organized left-wing insurrection. And this is something that I think is the most critical element to all of this, because what you're seeing is a paramilitary insurrection of left-wing terrorists that is something unlike anything we've ever seen, with comms, with spotters, with tech, with license plate readers, with foot soldiers who are armed with deadly weapons, whether it be their car with Renee Good or whether it be firearm with Alex Preddy. You have now something wholly different than what we've seen in America over the last couple of years. You have a fully funded communist insurgency, and that is the biggest question. How do we take that down? Well, you need to, one, prosecute the people who are openly coordinating, colluding in order to disrupt federal law enforcement. You need to prosecute them under the KKK Act. And this is a conspiracy against rights. This would be very easy to do. This is what they charged every J6er with, among many other statutes that you could use to prosecute these people on these secret chats in charge of this insurrection. But you also need to go after the funding, because, of course, who the hell is paying for this? These operations, this kind of organization, cost millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. The moment they set up an autonomous zone, there's hot beverages ready to be served, hand warmers, milk, eggs, food supplies, everything that you could possibly need to protest. There's, of course, pallets of bricks put everywhere that they need to be able to throw bricks, frozen water bottles, and so on. It's a well-funded insurgency, and in order to kill the insurgency, you have to be able to cut off the funding. It's a reminder that, like, Don Lemon was delivering aid to the enemy here. Here's Don Lemon, who you might see in your timeline this morning. The DOJ is now going to be moving to a grand jury to try and charge Don Lemon. The left-wing judges in Minneapolis have refused to sign off on 4 different arrest warrants, including Don Lemon's. So not just Don Lemon, but including Don Lemon. They've arrested 3 individuals with this storming of the church. But Don Lemon remains a free man. Here's Don Lemon dancing, prancing, providing material aid to this terrorist group. That's what is critical. That's what we must fight. Where are the funding sources? Kash Patel said that not only have they identified this funding sources, but that this is something that they are under direct investigation over. FBI investigating Minnesota's signal chats tracking ICE, Patel says. Hey, Alexa, let's make sure that we get the funding clip as well if we don't have it in the show. But here's Kash confirming on our show first. He did so also on Hannity's show last night, that the FBI is diving into these Signal chats. Presumably, since Signal was created by the CIA, they have all of the chats that were deleted by the organizers. Here we go.
We look at all this stuff. As soon as Higbee put that post out, I opened an investigation on it. Just like any other case, when we say, hey, quote unquote, there was an attack in downtown Seattle, does the public have information? We, the FBI, are looking to the public for information on these events. We immediately opened up that investigation because that sort of Signal chat being coordinated with individuals, not just locally in Minnesota, but maybe even around the country. If that leads to a break in the federal statute or a violation of some law, then we are going to arrest people.
Okay, so this is breaking news. So you and the FBI and perhaps other intelligence agencies are fully aware of this coordinated effort to attack federal law enforcement, to impede them and potentially insurrect. And so there is now an open investigation into these chats and into this coordinated network.
Yeah, what I can say
some of them are fleeing. Some of them are very scared now. You can see their chats. They're very, very worried now that they have been exposed.
Well, they should be. If they broke the law, you should be worried. It's that simple. If you didn't break the law, there's really nothing to worry about on that front. And so, we're going to continue, as I've said from day one, we will protect law enforcement. We will make sure they have the security and safety to do their jobs. We will also ensure that civilians have the ultimate protection of the First and Second Amendment. But it is my job to adjudicate the difference when there is a breaking of federal statute or state law in the furtherance of a crime or violence against law enforcement officers. And that's when we step in.
Here we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that the more that you look into this stuff, the more that you realize that none of it is organic. The real fear is that you have a shadow government or at the very least some type of insurgency force that can prevent the federal government from having supremacy in this country. And that's the real fear. This is what we're going to talk about with Tim Burchett and James O'Keefe today, who James O'Keefe just barely escaped Minneapolis with his life. Here we go. From Eric Schwalm, writing on X. As a former Special Forces warrant officer with multiple rotations running counterinsurgency ops, both hunting insurgents and trying to separate them from sympathetic populations, I've seen organized resistance up close. From Anbar to Helmand province, the pattern is familiar. Spotters, cutouts, dead drops, disciplined comms, role specialization, and a willingness to absorb casualties while bleeding the stronger forces dry. What's unfolding in Minneapolis right now isn't a protest, it's a low-level insurgency infrastructure built by people who've clearly studied the playbook. Signal groups at 1,000-person member cap per zone, dedicated roles, mobile chasers, plate checkers, logging vehicle data and shared databases, 24/7 dispatch nodes, vectoring assets, salute-style reporting. On suspected federal vehicles, daily chat rotations, time deletions to frustrate forensics recovery, vetting processes for new joiners and mutual aid, and so on. Home base, coordination points, rapid escalation, observation, physical obstruction, and worse. This isn't spontaneous outrage. This is command and control redundancy. OPSEC hygiene and task organization. Replace ICE agents with occupying coalition forces, and the structure maps almost one-to-one early-stage urban cells that we hunted throughout terrorist zones. The most sobering part of it is domestic. It's funded. It's well-trained and directed by people who live in the same country that they're trying to paralyze law enforcement in. When your own citizens build and operate at the level of a parallel intelligence and rapid response network against federal officers, complete with doxing, vehicle pursuits, and harassment, you're no longer dealing with civil disobedience. You're facing a distributed resistance that's learned the lessons of successful insurgencies. Stay below the kinetic threshold most of the time, force overreaction when possible, maintain popular support throughout the narrative. I spent years training partner forces to dismantle this kind of apparatus. New pieces of it are standing up in American cities, enabled by local governments and civil societies. Not because I want escalation, but because he's saying now we need to crush this. History shows that these things don't de-escalate on their own once their infrastructure exists. The cadre believe they're winning the information war We either recognize that this is what is actually looking at us, or we pretend that this is just activism. The structures are hardened and they spread. Your call, America. It's amazing. This has now been obviously shared quite a bit. I mean, look at this post. I mean, 59,000 reposts, 138,000 likes. This is what everyone is seeing. It's happening in Minneapolis. I have 20 years of experience in the intel community, says Rick De La Torre. And yes, we're seeing in Minnesota is closer to an insurgency than a protest. A protest doesn't feature thousands of people on comms, tracking law enforcement, sabotage operation, while armed using vehicle ram officers. We're seeing highly dangerous, coordinated, at risk to escalating something deeply damaging to the country. We need de-escalation now, immediate investigation of the funders and the leaders behind the operation. What we don't need is more people getting killed in the streets. What we don't need is more sympathy for this cause. We need to be able to break down the actual funding structures of all of this and to break down who is behind this. This didn't just pop up. Again, with every single left-wing protest, and Trump talks about this all the time, with all these left-wing protests, there's nothing organic. There's nothing natural about it. From the professionally printed signs to all of the aid that they get to the coordinated structures of how they move. Someone is funding a military force on our shores. And then you look at the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Purdy, and you're saying, wait a second, like these were suicides, actually. Because this is what it is. When you try and ram a federal officer with your car, that's a suicide. You know that you're putting yourself in a situation where you're going to have a very, very bad outcome. When you go and you attack a bunch of federal officers with a loaded handgun, the outcome there is going to be terrible. Maybe it doesn't guarantee you're going to die, but you're putting yourself in a situation where death is almost inevitable. You versus 10 officers, and you're armed. You got one in the chamber. What are you doing? You're resisting arrest? And so all of these things suddenly bring more people to the cause. They're running an insurgency. Now, Bill O'Reilly went off. How long is this clip? Bill O'Reilly went off on a funder of left-wing terrorism that flows right through the Communist Party of China, a guy who actually lives in communist China. Okay, he's an American. He's an Indian American. He lives in communist China. He's a billionaire. He's been made a billionaire by the Communist Party of China. And from China, his name is Neville Singham. From China, he funds left-wing terrorism at a scale that I think would make George Soros, wherever George Soros is, nobody's seen him in public for like 5 years, would make George Soros blush. He keeps very under the radar. And as we have detailed time and time again, Tim Walz's connections to China go back decades. He honeymooned in China. He's been groomed by the Chinese Communist Party. Tim Walz is not from Minnesota. Tim Walz was selected for this specific place and time in order to bring about a Cloward Piven level collapse in our economy. I don't mean to throw too much jargon at the wall here, nor am I some type of intellectual, but you can just go ahead and read. It's very simple text. Cloward Piven are two communist ideologues, professors, who created a theory of how to bring down a capitalist economy from the inside. And the way to do it is to manipulate, abuse, defraud the welfare state, debase the currency, debase the obligations of the government to its lowest classes, make the currency insolvent through accelerated national debt, and then you can collapse the entire capitalist economy for a command and control communist economy. That's where all the fraud comes in. That's why it's critical to have people like Keith Ellison and Tim Walz in charge of Minneapolis, so that the fraud can occur, so you can continue to keep those bills running for the federal government. They can't pay off their debt. Who buys our debt? China. And who's funding this insurgency? China. And who controls Tim Walz? China. They are the center. They are the single most centrally organized, powerful communist country in the world. They're the ones who are obviously running ops, not only on our elections, but on American society. They wish to take down and destroy this nation. Then they would be the sole superpower. And they're doing it through an American billionaire living in China. Here's Bill O'Reilly's report. It's pretty shocking.
Here's the most important part of this whole thing, unreported, okay? There is a man in Shanghai, China, an American citizen. His name is Neville Roy Singham. He works with the Beijing government. He is funneling millions of dollars into the United States of America through 501s like Party for Socialism and Liberation, Democratic Socialists of America, Minnesota Immigration Rights Action Committee. There he is, okay? Connecticut-born, 71 years old, billionaire tech guy. He is funneling money here to these radical organizations who are then agitating professional people, communists mostly, because Singham's a communist, all right, to go in and foster rebellion. You heard that story reported? That is absolutely true. The man has been investigated by the FBI in the past, this Singham character, okay? This isn't some organic thing. This is a foreign power, Beijing, using this American citizen who lives openly in Shanghai in luxury, knowing that this man is funneling tens of millions, probably more, into this country to try to destroy the government. What the deuce is that? Where are you, New York Times? All right? That's the second part of the story. There's a local federal story, and there's the international story. And I've had it. You don't like what I'm saying? Blank you, because I'm telling you the truth.
Bill O'Reilly is correct. Bill O'Reilly is right, and Neville Singham is somebody who Anna Paulina Luna, for instance, just one instance, has said on our program needs to be fully and federally investigated for his funding of left-wing agitation and terrorism throughout the nation. And he's doing it at scale, and he's doing it with communist Chinese money. And so this is the critical question. It's a question that Kash Patel covered on our program. He said that we have identified the funder of all of this. Obviously, you're going to be, if you pay enough money, you're able to get goons. You could go to a biker bar, you could go to an Antifa rally, and if you had a wad of hundreds, you can pay people to do criminal acts. You go to the ghetto, you can pay people to do criminal acts. If you don't have any money, and you walk into the biker bar, an Antifa rally, or the ghetto, and you just ask people to do criminal acts because you're such a cool guy, it's not going to work out really well. You're probably going to get your ass beat. They have to have the money. You have to cut off the funding sources. The most critical thing that Elon Musk did. Hey, Alexa, was Elon and Trump hanging out last night? Is that an old clip? Or am I seeing like something totally new in my timeline? Elon and Trump still hanging out? The most critical thing that Doge did was cut off the funding sources. None of it works without the money. The money is the blood in the bloodstream. Is that a new clip? Okay. Well, people reuse old clips all the time. Is that a new clip? Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, ALX doesn't know about an Elon clip? No way. Yeah, it is old. There you go. Okay. Yeah, all right. I had the sense. Nonetheless, we love to see it, and we'll put the clip up anyway. I mean, why not? Like, this is an older clip of Trump and Elon, like in the glory days. I want to see it back. I want them back. This is Trump and Elon, and this is the thing that the left fears the most. These two men who really understand cash and cash flow, who understand systems and organizations, and understand how to deprive the actual lifeblood of an organization, you shut off the cash. So here's Cash saying he's going to do just that.
And that's the distinction. If you want to go out there and peacefully protest, have at it. You want to go out there and use your Second Amendment right to bear arms, okay, no problem. But look at the situation in Minnesota. This is not something that just happened overnight. They've been rioting recklessly, destroying federal vehicles, ramming federal agents, literally hitting them, striking them, and as you just highlighted, using coordinated attacks to threaten their families. None of that is lawful, and none of that will be tolerated. You do not get to touch law enforcement. And we've got also investigations ongoing into the funding of this. We've made actual substantial progress. I just can't publicize it yet. But we've actually found groups and individuals responsible for funding it because it's not happening organically.
This is incredible to hear. And yeah, it is incredible to hear. Because this is how you actually shut these groups down. You can't do anything They can't pay any of their, I mean, obviously there are some committed jihadists out there, right? That like will just do any, will just want the bloodshed. But most people need to get paid to do this. They are literally putting their lives on the line. So who's paying? Here we go. President Trump. Let's take this strategy from a wartime landscape strategy. It's really hard to bring a nation to heel. It's really hard. Let's say that you have an insurgency city like Minneapolis. It's really hard when you have active firefights going on and chaos in the streets. You have to bring order first and then rip up, prosecute, destroy, remove from office the people running the corrupt systems second. You can't do that while the streets flow with blood. And you can't do that when there's a national media ecosystem that won't prevent any dialogue about what's actually going on. And so this is why I fully support, and I supported yesterday when this news broke that Trump was working with Tim Walz in order to restore order. I support that. Think about it in your own household. Let's say you have a big problem to solve. You have some big investment or you have some big decision to make with your wife. Like if your kids are lighting things on fire throughout your house, you don't have the capacity for higher level thinking. You have to chill the place out. And I think that's what Trump's doing in order to work on the higher level thought processes and decision matrices. President Trump on Tim Walz yesterday saying that he's sending Tom Homan in and that Tim Walz called me. And Tim Walz says that he's going to now start working with federal law enforcement. Is that true or is he lying? Well, based on what we saw yesterday, it's true. So the same mob showed up. Now, just a reminder, this mob has shown up for 3 weeks straight in Minneapolis to attack the hotels where ICE agents are staying. These are the Minnesota State Police moving in and kicking to the curb stomping left-wing protesters, mass arrests. It's like 30 or 40 people arrested, full riot gear, Minnesota State Police moving in and completely clearing all of the protesters out. They could have done it on day one. They could have saved people's lives. They could have demanded calm. We do live in a country where you have a right to protest. The good right, you don't have a right to criminal activity. These are the police stopping the criminal activity. Criminal activity is harassing and attacking the hotels, the ICE agents that are at these hotels, smashing the windows, destroying the property. This is what they were doing here. Yeah, this was from yesterday. So the difference is stark. So they were able to breach the hotel, smash the windows, smash the sign, graffiti the place, bloody federal officers. Completely and totally overtake and overrun the hotel. By the way, they're smashing these windows. It's like negative 10 degrees outside. So they're able to torch the place to cinders. And then just play that clip one more time, Klein. The difference is pretty remarkable. What happens when state authorities step in? Slightly different result now. I think that's good. One of the more hilarious things that happened yesterday were the ICE agents watched from their windows, drinking beers and flipping off the protesters. One guy mooned the protesters. It's hilarious. So now instead of these ICE agents wondering if the mob is going to get up to their rooms and rip them out of their actual rooms, if they'd have to fight floor by floor like they're literally in Fallujah, now the state authorities are protecting the federal authorities. That's the way it's supposed to be. As we have covered on this program, this shouldn't be happening in Minneapolis. The estimates for criminal aliens in Minneapolis is so de minimisly low in comparison to other large metro areas. The numbers just aren't there. I think there's an estimate about 10,000 criminal aliens in the greater Minneapolis area. Every one of them needs to go home. All of them need to be deported. But in relation to like LA or Dallas, Miami, I mean, this There should not be the kind of melee and chaos and horrors that we see on the street because the capacity just really isn't there. You should be able to wipe clean. I mean, you should be able to do 10,000 deportations like that. It's happening because it's happening by design. It's happening because the state authorities refuse to help out the federal authorities. And if that's what we get on all of this, that's what we get through all of this. Good, here we go. Another one about Mayor Frey. This is, of course, the far left-wing mayor. Likes to cry a lot on camera. Tim Walz called me with a request to work together with respect to Minnesota. A very good call. Sorry, correction here. Here's the Mayor Frey. Trump on Truth Social just had a very good telephone call with Mayor Jacob Frey of Minneapolis. Lots of progress being made. Tom Homan will be meeting with him tomorrow in order to continue the discussion. Thank you for your attention to this matter. You want your federal forces to be deployed in a manner where they're working with the state and local officials, okay, in order to get what we voted for. And what did we vote for? We voted for mass deportations. There just aren't that many federal law enforcement. It's not that many agencies. There's a great data point. There's more NYPD officers than there are FBI agents. There's like twice as many people in the NYPD as there are total FBI agents in the entire country. At scale, you must use federal and local law enforcement. I had to look this up. Like I said, I got them neighbors with a cop here in Tampa. And in Tampa, if they arrest a criminal alien, they immediately, they call their ICE dude. The ICE dude rolls the truck up. Everyone's chill. Everyone's got their Dunkin' Donuts. And they just throw the guy in the back of the van. One guy hands off the other guy. Not a big deal. Happens in the middle of the day. Everyone's driving home. It's sunny outside. The hummingbirds are buzzing around. Everyone's chill and drives home. That's how it's supposed to work. Because of local law enforcement, there are tens of millions of local cops. They're the ones who typically do the arrests and the enforcement, and then they hand them off to federal authorities to send them home. That's how it always works. That's how it works in every single city in Florida. And that's why the local officials working with the federal officials, this is why you have to have it. So anyway, this is good. We say yes to this. Obviously, Tom Homan is rolling through in Minneapolis. And if this is what it brings, then good. You still need the FBI to do their job and to round up, investigate, and prosecute the true left-wing insurrectionists that caused all this horror. One quick note on Bavino. The head of Border Patrol, Greg Bavino, Chief Bavino, according to our sources, did in fact get relieved of duty by a member of Tom Homan's team. But President Trump really likes Greg Bavino, reinstalled him, said, wait a second, no, I want Bavino back. Bavino is currently in his position, although he will be moved out of Minneapolis as Tom Homan moves in. I think there are some differences in tactics here. And that's what's happening with this bit of a PR battle here between Bavino and Tom Homan. Mommy and Daddy are fighting. Nobody likes to see it. I like both those guys, and I want to see them both win. But nonetheless, that's the update there. We made some phone calls this morning, and that's truly what's happening. Donald Trump is sticking with his guy, and Donald Trump is sticking with Tom Homan. And I really like that in this brand new era of the Trump presidency, that Trump just locks in with his people and doesn't give in to pressure. So it can't be seen. It cannot be seen. And we're going to go over to Tim Burchett here, okay? No? Okay, got it. All right. We have Tim Burchett and James O'Keefe that are getting checked in by our producers right now. It cannot be overstated, and this is the final thing that I think is absolutely critical, that it will be seen as a capitulation to the mob, as a victory for the left, as a weakness, and as a reason to do more mob protests and more mob violence against federal authorities if Donald Trump and the administration is seen as backing down, backing off, retreating, giving in, stopping enforcement, firing officials in this moment. I think they understand that. I know they understand that because I've been speaking with some of the highest levels of the administration on this. And so now is the time to, obviously, you cannot fight a higher level war when the streets are running with blood and there's chaos. You need to end the chaos. That I see happening in Minneapolis. That is good. Time to focus on bigger things, but it cannot be a retreat. It cannot be a tactical retreat. Cannot. That's why the Bavino news is critical as well. Greg Bavino is a good man. I want Greg Bavino to stay on. It doesn't have to be in Minneapolis. There's plenty of border enforcement to be done all over the country. But this is the way, ladies and gentlemen. It cannot. Okay, got it. Cannot. Sorry, my producers are chatting with me. It cannot be seen as a capitulation or weakness. Can't have it. This is not certainly not what America voted for in a election where Trump won 7 swing states and the popular vote. And 90% of American counties, America wants mass deportations. And they do not want mob rule. This was a vote against mob rule. That's what we had for 4 years of Biden. That's what we had in 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you are strong enough to fight the mob. Make sure that you have the kind of health and fortitude that allows you to fight back in your daily life. If you're feeling sluggish or bloated or not like yourself, life bombards you with a lot of silent threats, processed foods, artificial light, modern stressors that disrupt your gut, drain your energy, and weaken your immune health. The body isn't broken. It just needs the right input. Armra colostrum is nature's original blueprint for health. Colostrum is packed with over 400 bioactive nutrients that fortify your gut health, help fuel fitness recovery, and help strengthen immune health. I use their immune health packet, right, that you pour into your drink in the day, in the morning. Do a little electrolyte drink. That's where I have mine every single morning. It fuels fitness recovery, strengthens your immune health, and gives you the best performance during the day. Take control of your life and take your health back. We've worked out a special offer for my audience to receive 30% off your first subscription order. Go to armra.com/Benny or enter the code Benny to get 30% off your subscription order. That's ARMRA.com/Benny. This is something that I've been using. I really love it. Also, something that keeps us fighting back and keeps us fueled and gives us healthy fuel is our masa chips. You know, we talk about masa chips all the time on this program, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why is that, chips are listed as a junk food, and junk food has been stricken from my house and cast asunder. We have 1 million little baby kids, and my wife isn't about to poison them with a bunch of food dyes or a bunch of junk. Masa chips is none of those things. And while you might say that the chip is a junk food, it is not. With masa, it is actually a delicious, fantastic mix of 3 ingredients: beef tallow, salt, and corn. And ladies and gentlemen, this is how you feed your family and you feed your hungry little kids and keep them wanting more without giving them any toxins or bloat or, well, like Doritos are effectively just a petroleum product. It's just a seed oil. So end that junk. Give masa a try. Masachips.com/Benny. Use the code Benny for 25% off your first order. Simply click on the link, the video description, or the QR code right here and claim some masa chips. Okay. Very good, ladies and gentlemen. We did an investigation on Ilhan Omar, and it's gone viral. And so I think that we might as well just jump in and play this because we want to talk with Burchett and James O'Keefe about it. And I want to lock in why this is so important. This Minnesota question is so important because they are covering up the fraud that is intended to destroy America. The Cloward Piven strategy is when any capitalist country, and every capitalist country, has an open, not every capitalist country, but countries as dumb as ours have open borders and welfare states, and you can collapse a capitalist nation by flooding those welfare rolls with fraudsters, which is exactly what they did with the Somalis. They needed to find a population that had fraud sort of woven into the backbone, to the DNA of the culture itself, where pirate is the chosen profession. And this is what they found, ladies and gentlemen. Ilhan Omar's finances are a disaster. Ilhan Omar, however, is forced to do financial disclosures as a member of Congress. The DOJ has been investigating Ilhan Omar's finances for quite some time. Now Congress is investigating Ilhan Omar's finances. I said, well, wait a second. What could little old us find? What could we find if we just cracked open the publicly available reports? And now, well, our report has been seen by millions. It's got 30,000 reposts, 87,000 likes, and 3 million views on X alone. Here's what we found. This is just me with my camera flipped around, going through Ilhan Omar's financial disclosures. Let's do this really quickly. How did Ilhan Omar make millions from a fake winery? Watch.
Just investigated Ilhan Omar's official financial disclosures, and what I found was so dark and criminal. I don't know how she gets out of this without going to jail. Have a look at this. Here's Ilhan Omar's financial disclosure from the Congressional Record, year 2023. I want to bring your attention to this company right down here, Est Crew LLC. This is a winery in Santa Rosa, California. It's not doing that well. The total value of the winery is listed at $15,000, and Ilhan Omar's barely making any money off of it at all. Hardly enough to pay a parking ticket. Okay, that's fine. Nothing really mysterious there. Businesses fail all the time. But go ahead and look at her filing for 2024, and you'll find that Est Crew Winery, the same company in the same location, is now worth $5 million. That's incredible, up from $15,000. And now Ilhan Omar's making enough to pay rent. So this must be one of the most successful companies ever. Let's go ahead and check in on this winery. You know, maybe we could buy some wine. I like wine. Why not? Let's see if we can buy some Est Crew Winery. Here's Est Crew's social media Facebook page. You'll see here that the last post, oh no, was in 2023. Wasn't this the year that they were supposed to, you know, go really big and make Ilhan Omar millions of dollars? Same thing on their Instagram, and they don't have an X. So let's go ahead and check their official website. What is Est Crew? We are winemakers and memory curators. Okay, Est Crew here is an empty parking lot. Doesn't actually look like an operational business. Certainly isn't the same name. So, okay, let's go ahead and give them a call. See if maybe they pick up. Let's go ahead and call the number on the webpage. Let's go ahead and give them a call and find out. Oh no, user busy. Let's try that. Okay. Well, I've done this like 20 times today. Okay, so that didn't work. Is there any wine in this wine company? Is there anything about wine? Because I see like stuff about events, but like, what is this exactly? Aren't you supposed to sell wine at your wine company? Where are your wines? Oh, there are no wines. You wanna know why? Because this is a fake company. Rep. Ilhan Omar's husband accused of swindling investors in their California winery. They stole millions from cannabis growers. You can see here's the lawsuit right here, saying that Tim Minette, who's Ilhan Omar's third husband, no relation, swindled his investors and defrauded them. How did Minette get this relationship? Well, the current Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, used to work.
So they work together. That's all. The guy that refuses to investigate the Somali fraud in Minnesota, Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, the guy who's on tape taking Somali bribes, because this is the infrastructure, this is the architecture, this is the system, this is the op they're running. This is how they try and collapse America. This is why this insurgency is happening. We're over the target. It needs to be investigated. Ilhan Omar is a critical element of all of this. And ladies and gentlemen, somebody who serves with Ilhan Omar joining the show live right now, the great Tim Burchett. Congressman, thank you so much for being back on the program. Do you have a fake? Is this something that happens in Congress? Do you have a fake winery too? Do you have like some wine brand out in the hills of Tennessee?
Yeah, as I always say, all good wine comes in a box. I'm not a wine person. I probably have more spilled on me than I've ever drank in my life. You know, it's crazy. I've been trying to sell skateboards for the longest dadgum time. And I go see the ethics guy, very good attorney, and he's very kind. And I said, I went through all this stuff. He said, what you can do.
Just a second. We've lost audio on Tim Burchett. Producers, if you wouldn't mind jumping in real fast and helping out with that, please. Thank you. Making sure that we can get Tim Burchett and whatever exciting scorched earth skateboard take. It seems like maybe he just, when you get a phone call, here's the skateboard, by the way. These are the kind of skateboards that Tim Burchett's making. I want one myself. They look completely awesome. I've seen Tim on one. He zooms around Congress on his skateboard. We look forward to seeing that at the State of the Union. Producers are getting Tim Burchett set back up again for a take that will burn your face off. Something that won't burn your face off is bond charge, sauna, face mask, and blanket. If you're wanting to help burn more calories, you're looking to detoxify in this brand new year, to unstress or unwind, bond charge infrared sauna blanket is amazing. It works by using infrared light that heals the body directly rather than the air around you like a traditional sauna. It's meant to get you the same benefits at lower heat. Infrared heat can also release endorphins and leave you feeling euphoric after a session. It's easy to set up and it heats up rapidly. It's good for you, ladies and gentlemen. I got to tell you, I know when my wife is getting into bed because suddenly the whole room turns red. She loves this thing. And it is a wonderful way to unwind at the end of the day. Bond charge ships worldwide. All products HSA, FSA eligible for pre-tax savings up to 40%. Free shipping on every sauna blanket and 12-month warranty. Go to bondcharge.com/Benny and use the promo code Benny. Save 15%. That's BONCHARGE.com/Benny. Use code Benny to save 15%. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just go ahead and check in with our producers. Here's by the way, Tim Burchett on the board, on the skateboard that he was talking about. Klein's gonna learn how to use Twitter. Here we go. There we go. All right. Oh, Klein just posted it. Okay, very good. Yeah, there you go. Here's Tim coming in and out of an interview that we did on Capitol Hill a couple of months ago. Using the skateboard, traveling in style. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Tim Burchett back by popular demand. Here we go.
Sorry, brother.
Hey, that's all right.
I got the flu, and I'm technologically disadvantaged. And I was going to say, if you want to do insider trading, basically the attorney said, if you want to do insider trading, get to Congress. You want to sell skateboards? Not so much. It's upside down. It's upside down, Benny. Everybody wonders, why didn't Trump fix all this? Because the layers of the onion are so dadgum thick. And Omar and that bunch, I remembered when I got elected to Congress, I got something was disclosed to me. And I can't remember if it was Omar or which ones, but there was 8 or 9 Democrat members of Congress, or Democrat candidates for Congress. And you know where their address for their treasurer was? Knoxville, Tennessee, Gay Street, right? I could hit it with a rock from my federal office building. And I turned that over to our leadership. I turned that over to everybody. Nobody, well, whatever. We are being played. These people are put in, I don't know if Omar is or who, but you've got these billionaires. And what they do, Benny, they'll put 20 or 30 candidates in because they got the money to do it. And they just happen to hit their form of gold in my class because you got Omar, you got AOC, and a couple of and the squad was basically formed right there. And that is the basis for the Democrat Marxist Party right now. And whoever sponsored them, AOC's press man or PR man or whatever, he's a friend of mine. In the first one, he lived in Knoxville, Tennessee. He sounded like a bigger redneck than me. And, this is not what it seems. These folks are created, I think. They find people that fit the mold. We do the same thing. We just do a poor job of it. Sometimes I feel like I've been to some of our recruitment ceremonies, and it looks like a beauty pageant and not You know, we need some real candidates, and we're not doing that.
What's to happen here? Now you're in charge of the Doge Caucus, and Doge Caucus chairman. First time back, I think, since getting the Doge Caucus chairman honor. And so,
It's honor.
right? What's to happen? I know that you already want an investigation into Ilhan Omar's finances. I believe that the ball is actually rolling on that. It'd be nice to wrap up. Just one criminal as a reminder that you shouldn't do this kind of stuff, that you shouldn't run fake wineries and you shouldn't run fake companies, and you shouldn't go from the poorest member of Congress, $65,000 in debt, to one of the richest members of Congress in just a few short years. That looks bad. Can you give us a status update, Tim?
Yeah. And unfortunately, though, that's what's going to get her reelected probably in her community, because that's exactly what I feel like that the folks are looking for. They like seeing that. I served with people in the legislature, and they were always in trouble ripping somebody off, and they would win overwhelmingly because they were sticking it to whoever, and they were able to do that. And they were basically using their people to get there, because they're still in the squalor and the poverty that they are enduring, and the rest in their community is, and they're riding the high life. So I think it's a psychological condition more than anything else. But I don't, until the Justice Department sees somebody in cuffs. I put that in tweet yesterday. That's our road to success, Benny, is seeing some of these criminals taken in. You know, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, we subpoena them. They just thumb their nose at it, and then we just stop. We've got to pursue these people. And I can't stress that enough with this administration and with our leadership or lack thereof. I think we're underestimating the American people. We're letting the tail wag the dog. The media, far left media, that's all they want to do is talk. You know, we were saying, what about the $14 billion that they're ripping off from the taxpayer? Oh, don't focus on that. Focus on this. And all of a sudden, that's where we're at. Again, our attention spans, we want our pizzas in 30 minutes or less, and that's about our attention span, and I'm guilty of that. But America overwhelmingly wants to see somebody in cuffs. And it's not going to come from a subcommittee. It's going to have to come from the Justice Department. You've unfolded enough right there that there ought to be a major federal investigation by the Justice Department, not some bogus committee. Because the trouble with the committees are they're controlled by the staff. The staff are controlled by the lobbyists. It doesn't matter who's in power. And that's exactly, I would love to get 5 minutes with the president. And currently I haven't been able to do that. And if I did, I would unfold it all out for him very quickly, because I think he needs to hear it from somebody like myself. And I don't think that he's hearing that right now.
Well, Congressman, you're in charge of the Doge Caucus. The president really likes Doge, and our audience really likes you. And so would you mind unfolding it for us here live on the program? How does it really work?
Yeah.
And what can be done to fix it?
And I'm not advertising an orange drink here. I'm just dehydrated. So I'm going to be rude and take a sip here. It goes like this. And I make people mad every time I say it. And I get the call, and they'll send somebody down on the House floor to tell me, man, don't tell that stuff. And I say, it's the truth, right? And they go, yeah, it's the truth, but we just don't want you to say it. I'll go over it again. You get a great idea. You got something going on. You want to do a bill. Again, I'll give you an perfect example. The bill that I have about genetic testing that we're selling to the communist Chinese so they can build a genome to attack us once again, as they did during COVID. And so you present your legislation. It doesn't go anywhere. You wonder, where the hell is that bill? You go see the staff. You go see the chairman. The committee's too big. He's got 50 staff members. You've got one staff member that oversees that part. And they say, well, we need to do a study. And that's where it stops. You do a study. The GAO is a great group. They do a lot of studies. Again, those studies go to that warehouse in the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark. And by the time you get your study back, I've been in Congress 8 years, Benny, and I've never seen a study. And that's why I vote against all those stupid study bills that cost $1 million. And that's where I'm going to cut to the chase on what we're going to do different in Doge. It will be a different thing. We've already got the studies. we're going to bring the GAO in on the front end and say, give me those studies that you've already done, and then I'm going to present legislation following those studies, because that cuts the lobbyist out, because they know that it will move on to something else, and I'm not moving on to something else. We've got a bunch of corruption, we've got overspending. You know, we had the committee. Marjorie Taylor Greene had us in there in a building that was basically empty. That was the people that were supposed to be overseeing our real estate. And I asked the question, are members of Congress owning real estate? And the guys that are being rented to the federal government in Washington, D.C. And the guy said, yeah, they are. And it stopped right there. Nothing. And that should have been the beginning of it. And that's where I'm going to be a little different. I'm going to be on the front end of it. It's not going to be sexy, and hopefully the screaming will be back and forth, because that's just the nature of politics. But we're going to eliminate that, and we're going to eliminate the corruption that has infiltrated our committee system. And it's human greed. It's both parties. They know it. Every time I say it, they say, well, bring the receipts. And I say, well, I don't have to. I just did. You prove me that I'm wrong, because that is exactly what goes down. I've been in those, I've asked for stuff. I've been told no by a staff member. I'm a sitting member of Congress, and that's the power that they have, because they have been compromised by the lobbyist, and we've allowed that because we have foreign groups that lobby us, either indirectly or directly, and that's how nothing happens. And leadership, all leadership is composed of, they're good people. They get there, and they told me in conference, and I yelled at them. Basically, I yell at them all the time, but it doesn't do any good. I guess it's just good therapy for me. And they said, yeah, but we got to get we got to get this big majority before we can do anything. I said, here's the problem with that. Everybody that you get on these committees that starts out like me, idealistic and wanting to kick somebody's ass, they have to basically almost sell their soul to get on that committee. And they say, well, I got to do that, and because when I get in there, I'm going to clean it up. And guess what? They never clean it up. It just gets worse. 38 trillion in debt, more corruption, more stealing. You've got members of Congress, obviously doing illegal activity that are getting by with it. That you as a private, Benny, you would be in handcuffs if you pulled half the garbage that they pull. And so that's it. I'm flu stricken, but I'm telling you the truth. Okay.
So I want to just nail down on something. So you are, as Doge chairman, going to pick up the ball and continue the work when it comes to what seems like a massive scandal, which are big federal buildings owned by members of Congress that are leased out to the federal government. I mean, private buildings owned by members of Congress, leased back to the federal government. Yeah. And so that's like the snake eating its tail, right? Like this is like the human centipede.
Yeah, I'm just
giving centipede.
Yeah. I'm giving you that as an example, Benny. That is the tip of the iceberg. That just shows you my frustration with this thing. I mean, anywhere you look, we've got to not be the shotgun approach, because that's where we'll be neutralized. We got to focus in on just a few things. The first thing, I think we'll have something around IRS time. What's the big complaint with the IRS, outside of the fact they're stealing your money, is that you can't ever get to them. Their technology is not intermingled. I found out that through government duplication, I've got a chart. It's just the craziest looking thing. And it shows, and my staff has uncovered basically over $1 trillion of just simple duplication within these departments that nobody is willing to tackle. It's not sexy, but we're going to tackle it. And we're going to throw it to the American public, and hopefully they'll back us when we go to change the structure of government, because that's what's got to happen. That is what is, and more than 12% of the population has got to vote, because I don't think Jesus is going to let this country survive much longer if we're not careful the way we're headed.
How much of this government squandered money do you think winds up in the hands of these leftist protesters and terrorists in Minneapolis? Because, Congressman, I got to tell you, none of this is organic. It is an insurrection. It's like a military. It's like paramilitary insurrection.
Yeah, and here's the other thing that we've uncovered. Money is not necessarily all staying in America, paying politicians and paying crooked Somalis to drive a Lamborghini. It's going overseas, again, funding our enemies. We are funding our enemies. And you got to ask yourself, the big boys, look at their, if you could look at their stock portfolios. It's all war, buddy. It's all war. My daddy was an old World War II veteran. You know, you can't see the guns behind. Well, there they are. There's a couple of them. He took off a dead soldiers that he killed, Japanese. You know, he had a plaque on his desk when he died, and it said, "Old men make decisions, and young men die." And that's exactly what we're looking at. They don't care. They're going to destroy this country as long as they are in control, and that's the basis of leadership, pretty much. Just as long as I'm in control, they don't care. They don't care. People want to destroy within our own conference. I'm convinced there's people that want to destroy the Republican Party, so that, and they don't care if the Democrats get in charge or not, just so they can be in charge of whatever they're going to be in charge of. They'll get the suburban, they'll get the entourage, they'll get the posse. And frankly, I don't want a damn bit of that. I want to freaking preserve this country, because we're going to lose everything.
So
it wasn't for people like you, Benny, and a few others, my buddy Sean Ryan out there, and some others that are fighting the good fight, I'm afraid we're going to lose it all. We are going to lose it all.
So will Ilhan Omar ever see a proper investigation into her finances? Will Doge assist with this? And what do you think will be found? What do you think should happen?
I think you've already exposed what has been found. You know, you have a right as an American to fail. I've failed many times, obviously. I've failed probably in my career choice. But the truth is that I doubt the subcommittee of Doge will do anything. When we hear it, it will be so awash with propaganda from both sides, and it will never get to the bottom of it. It's got to be done by the Justice Department. The Trump administration, Pam Bondi, has got to do more than write a tough letter. We've got to see somebody in handcuffs. If you see somebody in handcuffs, we will not, this isn't the reason to do it, but we will win the midterms. If you don't, I fear what will happen. And you and I both know what will end up happening. It'll just be a impeach Trump, impeach Bondi, impeach all these other people. And they'll spend all their time doing that, and we will never get anything done. And it will just destroy this country. And we'll see. And then you'll see the Senate capitulate, Washington be the 51st state. They'll stack the Supreme Court, and we have missed a beautiful opportunity, because basically our leadership is gutless. Not in the White House, but otherwise.
Congressman, really quickly here, since you are in charge of Doge in the last truly robust remaining visage of this Elon Musk project that we all loved, that shut down USAID, did a remarkable work at the beginning of the administration. Can you give us just an outlook for where you're going to go with Doge? Can you give us can you reveal on the show, maybe break some news? Like, what have you uncovered? What will you be investigating? You're sort of like in the belly of the beast here.
Yeah. But I always have to remind people that as a subcommittee, it's been, the press and people that have touted it, it's separate from what Elon Musk did. He was part of a Doge investigation, the Doge department, if you will. I am a subcommittee of the full committee. And so I don't have the power that people think I do. All I can do is expose it. But as a congressman, and that's
what they fear the most. They fear the microphone, and they fear exposing it. You have millions of followers, right?
And that's what I'm fixing to do. And I will tell you this. I'll promise you this, Benny. If one of our chairmen jerks me around, I will embarrass them publicly, because I don't care anymore. I will call them out by name. I will be outside their office, and I will video it. I'm dealing with a situation right now with the chairman. And if I don't get some satisfaction out of that, if he does not move the legislation that I've brought to them, they've already started that. The staff member said, well, it's sort of there, but I said, I want it in the law, because the next president can come and erase it or ignore it, because some bureaucrat. And I'm going to bring that to you as soon as I get that. And that will be the first domino to fall, and I will expose it all to you. and then we'll see what happens. Because I think we're gonna start turning some stones over. We'll make a lot of people uncomfortable. When you start talking about $1 trillion in duplication and waste, yeah, that's where the corruption lies, because nobody's paying attention. You have unelected bureaucrats doing what we as elected officials don't have the guts and the wherewithal to do. And that's very unfortunate. And I'm frustrated like you, but I'm just going to raise hell about it, because I've figured out I'm not going through our conference anymore. I'm going to go straight to the public, because that's what this social media is about. That's the one thing they can't control yet. And yet we bow and scrape to these folks. And I was in the meeting the other day, and I said, y'all are going to throw your shoulders out by patting yourselves on the back for all the garbage that we loaded up these bills with. We're better than the Democrats, but not by a whole lot. Not by a whole lot. If you saw some of the gutless funding that's in some of these bills, the transgender stuff that's still in there, the other stuff that we allowed to be in there for no other reason than we don't have the guts to call it out, and we're tired of fighting. And if you're tired of fighting, you need to get your ass home and sit on the couch and let somebody else do it.
Congressman, really quickly here, and we're working on maybe bringing on James O'Keefe just to say hi to you. But you became a legend by talking about an Epstein-style plot on this program 3 years ago. James O'Keefe has done a lot of reporting on Jeffrey Epstein, and lo and behold, now we have Bill Clinton, who's being hoisted on the petard of the Democrat Party for his connections with Epstein, his refusal to answer for all of them. It's Bill Clinton in the hot tub, right? It's Bill Clinton on the plane. It's all these. Now we have all the photos, the young women in his lap with his arms around them on the plane. So talk to us, Congressman, what's going to happen with Bill and Hillary?
I'd say probably nothing, because we don't have the guts to go after him. Chairman Comer's doing a good job, but he's very limited, I think, in his ability to do that. We can subpoena him. Allegedly, we can bring them in, but I don't see them doing it. I think Clinton's trying to negotiate some thing up in New York where it's a one-on-one or some garbage. No, let's put him in, bring him in chains, bring him into Congress, answer some dadgum questions. That's what's got to happen. The American public is demanding that. And I think Chairman Comer is too. But the problem you've got, of course, is the Justice Department. That onion is so thick, and it's very disgusting to me. And Clinton's just thumbing his nose. He attacked the president the other day on some moral ground. And I tweeted out, I said, you bombed an aspirin factory to keep your name out of the front page of the paper one time. I said, I think you ought to sit this one out. And of course, he has his comments turned off. I'm sure he hides behind Hillary's skirt at every opportunity. I'm not afraid of him, but the problem is a lot of people are, and he's so deep. And until you see somebody like that in cuffs, again, you put him in cuffs, it's over. It's over. Everybody will run for cover. Wow. But until then, it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. And I'm afraid they'll never bring him in. They'll just run the clock out until the midterms, and then we're screwed.
I think it's got to happen. I think that sometimes we have guests booked back to back, and it just works perfectly for a chance to maybe have a cross conversation. I want to bring in James O'Keefe really quickly here. James has done such remarkable work with Jeffrey Epstein and with Bill Clinton, and with some of the rot in our federal government, exposing it. James, welcome. You are on the program, and you're here with the DOJ chairman in Congress. Tim, I know you're suffering from a flu, so maybe just James, anything you'd like to ask of the DOJ chairman? Anything you'd like to reveal to him? Maybe some investigation?
In a minute, but I guess DOJ chairman. I mean, what? In short, why don't you think people are held accountable?
I think people are compromised. You and I've talked. Well, I've followed you for years, and I admire your work. Benny and I have talked about it. I remember one time I talked about a honeypot working out of Washington, D.C., and I got chastised. And what happened the very next week? They busted a prostitution ring. Benny put it on. I always remember he showed me walking out of a building, and the building explodes behind me. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. But We did that. Benny and I did that a couple times. It was like we're like Elijah, modern day prophets. And because I do think people are compromised, and it's not always sex. We always say sex. A lot of it has to do with jobs. These NGOs. You've got good people, I think, that probably start some of these things, and then their wives and or girlfriends draw a nice little check from some of those, and that's why nothing ever happens. Ultimately, it's the dollars. We've got groups that operate out of Washington that start off as good little groups, and then the money gets in there, and it's just too easy. And no pay.
What's the solution? What's the solution?
Yeah, did you know that most of the honeypots is James with a fake nose?
It's not,
and a wig.
Not false. It's not incorrect.
That's most honeypots, as far as I can see in DC, is James O'Keefe with a wig. Yeah.
Yeah.
The chatty gays, they love me.
Yeah. I think, and you do a great job of disclosing that, but I think it's going to have to happen to somebody higher up, and they're going to have to be disclosed. And I don't have the ability to get to it. I have my suspects because they always tend to vote us down the river every dadgum time, and the only reason they would do that is greed.
Well, they arrested me. I mean, I've been arrested. I've been charged. Yeah. I've been raided. So it seems like the accountability only goes one way.
100%. And Bill Clinton's a perfect example of that. You and I pulled what he did. We thumb our nose at Congress. We'd be brought in chains. Yet he's allowed to do it.
Do you think that there's an over-under that Bill Clinton will actually be in chains? I mean, they really are up against it here. Of course, there's the Bannon precedent. There's the Navarro precedent. I don't know how the Justice Department doesn't arrest him. Am I being naive?
Yes, you are. I'm sorry.
Is there anybody in D.C. that actually gives a damn, or are they just all about money and power?
Yeah, there's quite a few of us, but there's probably 25 or 30 of us. But I've watched several of my very good, close conservative friends. They get pulled in, they get put on the committee, and then all of a sudden they change their attitude, and it's very depressing to me. I'm not just telling you that because I got the flu. It's the truth.
Well, you tell them that if they don't get clean up their act, then I might have to investigate them.
I wish you would, brother.
I don't know why you'd go to D.C. if you don't care. I don't understand.
I think ultimately they care in the beginning, and then they just figure, what's the use? You're seeing everybody around them getting taken care of, going on the nice trips and putting on the cool committees, and you get invited into the White House or whoever to meet with whoever, and they just get sucked into it. And once you get your toe in it, it's over. It's not you're never coming back. They never come back.
There's no money. And there's no money in holding people accountable. That's what I hear. That's what I hear. That's what I see. There's no money and reward in arresting people. If anything, it's going to hurt you because they're going to go after you for arresting them. That's how I see it.
Yep, you got
it. So therefore, you have to find people with the balls who are willing to be punished for holding people accountable.
That's correct. Right? I mean, look at me. I mean, I'm pretty much Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I don't get, I never get invited to play in too many reindeer games, dude. I eat a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I sleep in my office at night. I mean, I didn't go to Washington D.C. for all that. I could give a rip about all that.
Well, you can tell them I said this. You can tell these people, either members of Congress or prosecutors, that I'm going to investigate them unless they do their jobs, because they shouldn't be there in the first place unless they're willing to do their jobs, period.
I agree 100%. But there again, 12% of the population votes. Omar will get reelected. AOC will get reelected. And we'll move on to another one. And we'll get a few in there, and we might imagine this. Our former leadership told us at one time, I remember we were in a meeting and they said, it looked like we were going to be a 50 vote majority. And then we ended up with maybe 4 or 5 at that time. That was way back. And then, we've got new leadership, but I just think it's all just smoke and mirrors, brother. Everybody just wants to be, the old saying, I can't say it enough. They'd rather rule in hell than serve in heaven. And that's what they want. They want to tear it down. There's people looking at 4 years down the road, I could be speaker if we lose the majority, and I think the underlying, there's a lot of that going on. I think we're undermining our own party. In reality, we're undermining our country.
Well, I've got some equipment I could lend you if you ever want to expose any of them.
No.
Always on brand, James Recruiting.
Thank you,
James. I'm just being honest.
I wish I could sit here and blow sunshine up y'all's skirt and tell y'all what's going, all the good stuff, but I don't see a lot of it. We're patting ourselves on the back because we did our constitutional duty by passing these funding bills. I get that. But
well, I'll tell you who does believe in who does believe in it. These Minnesota agitators I met with, they actually believe in it. That's actually, people think they're paid. They probably are by various NGOs, but something more terrifying than that. They actually believe in what they're doing. It doesn't sound like the people you're talking about actually believe in what they're doing. And I was there in the mob, and these people are true believers, and that's a little terrifying.
Well, I think they believe it, just to a comfortable point. But when it gets uncomfortable, they'll back off. Because they know they'll get reelected. 98% of them will get reelected. And, and I watch people on Twitter all the time. It's very frustrating to me, Benny. And I get it. They'll go, we'll primary them. And I go, you don't even know what it takes. You got to have a candidate, first of all. And you better have a big checkbook. Because 12% of the population is going to decide it. And they know who's going to pull the button, who's going to push the buttons. And they're going to ignore the rest. And that's how they stay in power.
This is exactly what I wanted to talk with you about, Congressman, and talked with James about, because James was just nearly murdered in Minneapolis. I mean, they were throwing rock solid frozen water bottles at his car. And you get hit in the head with something like that, you could truly go to the hospital. You could be brain damaged. You could die. You get pelted with enough of those things. It's like a medieval stoning, right? And it was attempted murder on James. And it doesn't even make the headlines.
No.
Right? So here you have one of the biggest independent journalists in the world, attempted murder in the streets, ripped to shreds, mob violence, and everyone shrugs. What the hell is that?
Can I address that for 1 second?
Please.
I think what we ought to do is take a page from the civil rights movement. The black folks understood, and Martin Luther King understood, the economic condition. We need to stop supporting these media outlets that do not cover this. Everybody's mad at the Super Bowl. Well, guess what? Don't watch the Super Bowl. Anybody advertising on the Super Bowl, if they're a brand of truck, you call your local dealership. Tell them, I was getting ready to buy a truck from you, but I'm going somewhere else because you all are supporting this. That's what's got to happen. You're seeing newspapers that are owned by these corporate giants. They're losing more and more viewership or readership because of that. And I think we need to start pushing that as conservatives. Again, we don't have the guts to do it. We don't want to get our hands dirty. Preachers don't preach the gospel. Americans they want to be left alone and do their thing. And if they're going to come, we're not going to give it to them. They're going to take it from us. And we've got to start using our economic power when it comes to that stuff. I've done that many times. I walk away from some group my own jacket here, this Carhartt. I told this guy at a UT ball game came up to me. He was a big wig with quit wearing your jacket. And he said, why is that? He said, because you don't make them in this country anymore. And he told me, in fact, they're going to start making them in Tennessee. And I said, well, I'll keep wearing them then. Because, that's what you got to do. We got to, it's all economics. And when it's not profitable, and we got to follow the trail of this money too. You're right, these NGOs, but you've got the real believers. I get it. But you've got enough.
Well, I've got a video going out in 2 hours showing them admitting where they're getting their money from, Benny. I've got that coming out today. I've got undercover people in the mob. But I'm also telling you, and I'll report where they're getting the money from. I'm telling you, I was there. I witnessed it. These people are willing to die for their cause. I don't see conservatives willing to die for their cause. I don't see Republicans certainly don't want. They just want the money and the power. That's what you just effectively said. And by the way, thank you for your honesty. But I think self-preservation is the enemy of the American people. I think there's no accountability because there's no money in accountability. And it's the greed and it's the self-preservation that is out of control. And unless we change that about our friends, your friends, unless they get it, because these communists, they don't fear man or God. Christians claim to fear God. I don't see them acting that way, but I'm telling you, I was there.
Yeah,
I was there, and the mob surrounded me, and they will kill you if you are not one of them. And I'm not saying we should ever do that, but we do need people with the balls to be willing to I don't know, lose their money and be brave. I mean, we need people that are willing to do something. That people that love justice more than money. And that's what I was feeling when I left the area. But I'll have my report out, and I'll send you what we found, which is they're admitting what organizations they're with. There's a number of them, and some of the money comes from the government to these 501c3s. We looked up their tax returns. So the government's funding it.
100%. I don't doubt that one bit. There again, we'll dig into some of that, but I got to have somebody with the guts to push it. I present the legislation, and I mean, I've been trying to defund the Taliban for over almost 2 years now, and it's finally coming up this month in the Senate. I passed it.
Did you say defund the Taliban?
Yeah, we're sending them $40 million a week.
This was one NGO that the agitator said to us, they get $16 million from the federal government.
Yeah.
This is what they said.
Well, that's why I wrote a letter to the president. I said, stop funding every single NGO. Shut it down. I think it's like a boat taking on water. If some people want to sink, which is what a lot of these cats want to do. Some people want to bail, but you got to plug the hole first.
So profits of corruption are immediate. Accountability or prison for bad actors takes forever. And there isn't really anybody in DC with the will to get it done. So this is our situation. This is our ugly reality. And all we can do is do the citizen journalism and hope that sunlight is the best disinfectant. That's the best thing we can do, I suppose.
I look forward to your report, and I would love to talk with you at some point. Maybe if you're in DC, we could work on.
I'm only in DC when I'm busting bad guys, but when next time I'm there, I'll reach out to you.
James, I'll set it up, bro.
There's plenty of them.
Congressman, we between James and I, you have much larger audiences and much more followers than the New York Times. You have bigger and more engaged audiences than all of corporate media, I would argue, combined. And so this is the way that you can actually effectuate change. This is like getting the will of the American people and the public on our side. And so we'd love to work more with you. This is how we win.
Pray for our country. We're I think we're on the cusp. We could either turn
my feeling was I felt we're headed towards civil war, and I hate to say that, but that's how I felt being there. But the prayer thing, I'm a Christian, I believe in God. We have to pray as if it depends on God, but we have to act like it actually depends on us. Yeah. And what I see, and this is a hard pill for many of you to swallow, so please don't kill the messenger. But what I see is these Minnesota agitators possess a greater faith in their cause than many Christians show in Christ. Because I say that because it's proved not by words, but by a readiness to act and sacrifice. And if you think for a second, I'm going to retreat, I'm fine with being my white picket fence and my portfolio. They're coming for you. It's a matter of time. So we all need to step up. All of us. The good people need to step up. That's my message. I'll stop ranting now.
No, that's no rant. That's accurate. Praying's one thing. That's what a lot of us Christians do. We pray and then we go home, and then 40% of evangelical Christians don't go to the polls.
Do you know how many people message me to be safe? I got 10,000 DMs telling me to be safe. It's out of control. Safe? If David versus Goliath is happening today, they tell David to be safe.
Yep.
We don't need safe. We need brave and truth and justice. And it just takes a few brave people that can change everything. Like this guy Kim Higbee, he's a legend already for exposing the signal chats. But yes. Benny, I gotta go. I gotta finish producing my report. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, James. So really quickly, the preview is that you have a report with the funding. The funding is directly tied back to the federal government.
Literally them admitting in the mob. We had the undercover reporters for me in the mob, and they recorded them admitting who they're working with and the money they're getting. That'll be out at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Right.
I'll make sure to get that, and I'll follow, and I'll start investigating that on my end as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you both, gentlemen. I know you both got to go. Boy, we should have a member of Congress on every one of these, because then we can just cut through the middleman. Like get right to the angry letters. Perfect. Thank you both. God bless you both.
God bless.
Legends. Tim and James. See ya. All right. Wait. We were checking with the chat. It seems like the chat liked it. Maybe we should do that more often, right? Where it's like, instead of James and I sitting here yelling and screaming, why doesn't any member of Congress do anything? Why doesn't any member of the government? Like, next time we'll have Pam Bondi on. Next time we just have Pam in the 2 box, right? And saying like, are you going to arrest Bill Clinton? This is the next time we do that. We do that with Kash Patel. We have Kash Patel on, and we have Cam Higbie at the same time. Yesterday, we actually had them back to back. Next time, we'll just put them together. Cam Higbie with this huge report. Kash Patel, obviously. We had Cam ask Kash a question in the bridge. We just put them together. Maybe that's something the show can do. Take a member of the administration, take the people doing the original on-the-ground reporting, and smash them together, right? And then you can get the signal right away. You can short circuit the thing. Pretty cool. We love doing this program. We love doing this show. We do it for you. We are here in order to expose the darkness. We are really excited, ladies and gentlemen, about the way that things are going. I mean, honestly, we are getting, I guess, investigation after investigation after investigation. But like I promised you last week, there's gonna be actual arrests. I'm telling you, man, things are happening. It's an exciting time, and there are going to be arrests. They tell me that I'm being naive. We'll see. I think Bill Clinton will get arrested. I think they'll actually go for the Clintons. I think they might actually do it. James O'Keefe kept teasing what he has next. And so I did want to give him, I was going to play this, but I do want to give him the teaser for his report out at 1 o'clock today. Let's go.
Not the fucking bed! Shame! Fuck you, Shame!
So the federal government's paying for this. I'm telling you, we're locking in. I mean, there's been a lot of news out of Minnesota. Minnesota has been a complete consuming fire with the news. We didn't want to publish something in the middle of all of that. We've been working very hard and diligently on our California report. And let me just tell you, this is the result. The major result is that the federal government, you, the people, are paying for California's homelessness problem. That California's homelessness problem is an end around for a much bigger op. They want to keep the homeless there, obviously for election fraud, but also for the defrauding of the American taxpayers and the defrauding of our nation with criminal aliens. I'm telling you, that's what's happening. It looks like James is uncovering that today. Stay tuned for our California expose. We're putting the finishing touches on it today. It's so sick that you are the one who's left on the hook for this. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be left on the hook when it comes to your investment strategy, when it comes to your portfolio. Obviously, the people make good and bad investments. I've been telling you for years, gold is a good investment. Advantage Gold has helped me out. I got, physical gold and silver. I just don't know how you can go wrong. I'm no genius when it comes to investing. I'm no whiz with this kind of stuff. They'll let me do your taxes, you'll go to prison. But it just makes a lot of sense. That if something's been valuable for the last 2,000 years, that'll remain valuable. And if it's in physical form, then that's something that, you can just count on. Anyway, it's worked out great because gold is at all-time highs. You should get started today. Text Advantage Gold. Text Benny to 85545 right now. That's BENNY to 85545. You'll get a free gold investment kit. They'll walk you through it. The gold rally is breaking records. Gold at $5,000 an ounce. Text Benny to 85545 right now. Find out how you can profit today from the golden era. All right. Ilhan Omar has been profiting from fake wineries. Let's go ahead and check the markets to see, will Ilhan Omar be charged with fraud? Let's find out. Here we go. Will Ilhan Omar be charged with fraud? The answer is, sadly, according to the markets, not great. So it looks like it's hovering around like the 4 to 2% mark. 2% chance. So people are very, very bearish on Ilhan Omar ever being held accountable for what's going on. Well, you know what? I've seen worse odds. We've defeated worse odds on this program, and we're going to keep fighting. We have more investigations on Ilhan Omar. I look forward to actually going to Minneapolis when things chill a little bit and doing a full expose. We've hit AOC and Jasmine Crockett. And Ilhan Omar, though, is like the queen of them all. So we're going to work pretty hard here to make sure that America, if you can just expose one person, if you can just reveal these crimes, if you can just show one example, then it will lock in for the rest of the country. So that's what we plan on doing. We do that with you at our backs. We know that the enormous amount of support this program gets from the viewers, we are humbled by it. We serve you. That's it. We don't have institutional investors. We don't have any investors. We're not owned by any corporation. We are 100% independent. We support our 100% independent journalist friends, and we just thank you for supporting us. You allow us to do these investigations, go out in the field, and deploy our resources, and that's all because of you, and we just thank you for that. We are truly humbled, and we're grateful. Gratitude is not practiced. Gratitude is the least practiced virtue in the world. We are just grateful for you and thankful for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, our verse of the day from Psalms 119. I have chosen the way of faithfulness. I have set my heart on your laws. Choose, ladies and gentlemen. You can choose every single day what you focus on. Everything that's happening to you is happening in a fluid timeline. You can focus on evil and dark things, or you could obsess over the good things. People have a tendency to obsess over all of the bad things that are happening to them. They obsess over them, and it destroys them. Instead, obsess over the good things and be grateful, ladies and gentlemen. Choose faithfulness and set your hearts on good things, on God's laws every single day. And ladies and gentlemen, we just want to say thank you. And God bless you. We are going to continue focusing on these good things. And we're going to do in the chat. We'll do in the chat tomorrow. We've already had too much rock and rolling today. We'll do in the chat tomorrow. We want to do in the chat multiple times a week where we just take your questions. We just say thank you. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. Okay, just one in the chat. Okay, just one. Let's just one. Yeah, just one. Let's just do one. I'm sorry. I just feel nothing but hearts for the chat today. Here we go. All right, I'm compelled. Do you have a dadgummit sound effect now?
Dadgummit.
Okay. You're gonna have to work on the edges of that, but yeah, okay, good. Let's go. Here we go. You're gonna do the dadgummit again.
Dadgummit.
Okay, round out those edges, but yeah, it's where I appreciate the spirit of it. From Gavoy's weekly Benny Brawl. Yes, let's do it. That's it. Make the new stinger for that. We'll do the weekly Benny Brawl. We'll bring on like a member of the federal government. We bring on somebody who's like breaking great news, and we brawl and we see if we can't like get and facilitate something awesome. Here we go. Stay safe, stay warm, trust in God, praying for you all, says Ruby. Thank you, Ruby. That's a beautiful message. Sunday, Bloody Sunday, Chesterton and Bennington gone. Chris Cornell gone. These are some singers and some musicians. All right, a vampire in there. For the love of money or blood. Well, Elise 716. Those are actually some legendary musicians in there. It is sad to see it. Here we go. Apple Music. Apple is paying for the halftime show. That's right. And Donald Trump is not going to the Super Bowl. Benny, will the judge that signed off on Bill Clinton's arrest sign off on Don Lemon's arrest? Yeah, well, the judge that would sign off on Bill Clinton's arrest would be in Washington, D.C. So you're right. Maybe that's a problem that we're looking down the barrel of, right? Will the DOJ be able to get a judge to sign off on this? That's a great question. Can I yell now? Yes, you can. What I'm getting from this representative won't do anything, and perhaps it's time. It's up to the people now. It's always been up to the people. We live in a democracy. We can kick them all off if we really want to. It sickens me what they're presenting as if Trump is capitulating to Walz. Yeah, I don't see that. I think everybody gave like a little bit, but ultimately what you need peace in wartime in order to solve the bigger problems. I think that's what I truly do think. That's what Trump is negotiating right now, and I think it's good. But thank you for your comment, Lisa. Pap Patriot, stop paying taxes until something is done. Well, I've seen a lot of that in my timeline, honestly. And I mean, listen, I'm not going to advise you to commit any federal crimes, but what are you paying taxes for? So Somalis can run a bunch of fake daycares? I told you guys. Everything. How did we know? Ripped me off in the 80s. Sure. Sorry that happened to you. Some of us don't have the extra money to lose, James. Some comments to James O'Keefe. Stop speaking the truth, Tim. There you go. Lefty's going to make you very rich. Let's go here. Only Jesus can help us. We need an organized revival. Jesus would also be happy with us if the corrupt politicians with a big prayer and Jesus' love, it has to be too big to ever deny. This is why I liked Charlie Kirk's memorial, because we dragged up the leaders of the nation, and it was before an evangelical and patriotic and believing audience. And it was a beautiful thing. We need to do it again. We need to do it every single year. Tim James, 2028. I think Tim Burchett would make a great president. Yeah, all they care about is money first and foremost. That's exactly right. POTUS, here's They Love Charlie. Thank you for being such a chattering commenter. We appreciate you, They Love Charlie. Well, can we change the name from ICE to NICE? National ICE. So they have to call all of our agents nice. Get nice out. That's great. Thank you. This is a wonderful comment. Yes, that's right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. How about as a Minnesotan outside of Minneapolis? Thank you, President Trump, for laying down the law, standing up to the liberal governor. Minnesota is great beyond the Twin Cities. Yes. And we hope that these grand juries that are going to be grand juries for the entire state of Minnesota that are beyond the Twin Cities, that they will vote, these grand juries will vote to indict Don Lemon and the others who went and attacked the Christian church. We need that to happen. That's what the DOJ is doing right now. I just want to say we thank you. Just sort of an impromptu in the chat. Come on. It's like just nothing but love for this channel. We're going to go out and we're going to win. Stick with us. We have lots of really exciting things locked in for the year. And if you march with us, you're guaranteed victory, because we march, ladies and gentlemen, in the truth. Jesus Christ is our Lord, and set on the guaranteed victory that lies before us. Man, in the end, we win. Best part about every single day, saying that. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
Boy, there's a king croc right there. He must be 4 meters. I've got to be careful. So what I'm gonna do is sneak up on it and jam my thumb in its butthole.
Holy crap, dude!
Oh boy, he's pissed off now.
Go, dude, go!
I'm gonna jam my quite an angry crook, but I managed to escape with only a few bruises and a shattered left testicle. Next week, we'll look for more of these beautiful creatures so we can learn more about them by pissing them off immensely.
Show where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.